It's starting up. Okay, I believe we are live. So welcome to Tamarah's Closet today. I'm really excited today. I have a very extremely talented man with me today, and he is an English guitar player. And I usually tell people how I found somebody, and I really can't remember how I discovered this man. I imagine it was through social media, but he has been hailed as one of the world's finest and most creative modern fingerstyle performers. So I'm really excited about that. I want him to talk a little bit about that today. And since the release of his debut album, What Just Happened, in April 2013, he's toured almost every continent on the planet numerous times. So he's just on the road all the time, and he's recorded with and sessioned with or for, and even taught multiple Grammy award-winning artists, which I was really impressed with that. So he regularly tours with Justin Hayward as his lead guitarist, and he's also known for his guitar clinics and workshops that he holds all around the world with people of all ages. So I've been listening to Mike's music for a little while now, since I first got him to agree to the interview on YouTube. I absolutely just love his style and his music. And I find myself listening to it a lot when I'm writing, and it's just really, really nice music to listen to if you're a creative person anyway, for background music as well. And I just admire his performance that I see on the YouTube videos, because he seems to have this unique and wonderful, I call it kind of casual elegance presence on stage, topped with a little bit of his own personal quirky humor, which I like. So I know he has a tight schedule today, so without further delay, I want to welcome Mike Dawes from Bristol. So say hello, Mike, so I know you're still with me.
Hello, I'm still here. Pleasure to be here.
Well, great. Now, Mike, you have such a really in-depth bio that I pulled a lot of information from, and
right.
I was really surprised you became interested in music when you were like 4 years old. I wasn't real clear. Were there musicians in your family, like your parents, or I didn't know if you had siblings or?
Right. Well, I wouldn't say I come from an incredibly musical family, but my dad is very musical. He plays the trumpet, and he's played percussion in various bands over the years, as well as other things. I think he just joined a new band, actually, a new band out here in the West Country. But yeah, when I was 4, I believe the first memory I have is watching the movie The Blues Brothers. Do you remember The Blues Brothers?
Yeah.
Awesome movie. And I just watched that over and over again. I was just totally obsessed with it. And as a few years went by, I remember finding my mum's old keyboard in the attic, and she had one of these old, I can't remember the brand, but it was some very old, dusty sort of post-synth kind of thing. And I remember hitting the keys and immediately working out the melody to Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins.
Really?
Because that was just some, the dun 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 kind of melody, because it's just all on the white keys. I was a kid, and it was just a song that I'd heard, I guess, around that time when I was young. I mean, I was born in '89, so I guess that song would have been popular around that time when I was younger. And it just stuck in my head, and I figured it out, and I thought, this is really cool. I can play the things I hear. This is music is fun, And from there, I got obsessed. I learned a little bit of trumpet from my dad. And then I got into keyboard, and then the guitar stuff happened when I went to big school, and the rest is history.
Now, did you play the piano as well, or just the keyboard, like the?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing the same sort of stuff. It's the same interface, white keys, black keys. But at school, I was playing keyboard. I was one of the only players in my year that could use 2 hands. And this is the base level of playing that I was doing. I was playing one hand and another hand, nothing complex at all. This was sort of 6 years old, 7 years old, I think think I did and then stopped, and that was enough, you know. So I never really excelled at keyboard, but the principles that you sort of learn from learning any instrument with a keyboard interface, you know, having one of every note, you know, octave through to octave, sort of stayed with me, and yeah, that was my first introduction to music, just being able to touch something and produce a note. Only later on did I have the patience to learn something like guitar, where it's not quite that simple. You have to use two hands to produce a note, you know?
Yeah.
So I think having that early introduction to an instrument where I could just touch it and make a sound, that was so fascinating to me as a kid that, yeah, that's what triggered the whole obsession, I guess.
Well, now tell about the time, because I read also that you got your first Telecaster when you were 12. And
I remember that. So I think I wanted to get an electric guitar because I know a lot of guitarists won't admit this, but it's probably true for a lot more people than you think. I wanted an electric guitar because the cool kid at school had one. Which is very important when you're 12 years old and you've just moved to a new school. So I think I got a Telecaster, a little cheap kind of copy Telecaster from the local music store for a birthday. And I was obsessed with it until I discovered Guns N' Roses at age 13. And I decided that Les Pauls, Les Paul guitars, the guitar that Slash played, you know, that was the thing I had to have, you know. So I saved up pocket money, you know, exchanged one for the other. And I was playing that Les Paul all the way up until I discovered acoustic music and decided to trade in the electric guitar and go full acoustic at around age 17.
Wow. Now, did you pretty much, were you self-taught on that Les Pauls when you got that? Did you?
Well, I was self-taught initially. I kind of refused lessons for the first year and a half because I was at that age where I thought, no, I can do it all myself. I don't need a guitar teacher, you know, who needs that? A young kid, you know, naive kid. So I had a VHS called Absolute Beginner's Guitar, and it just taught me the first few chords, A, D, E, things like that. And my mum had a Beatles songbook. She's a Beatles fan, and she had this dusty old book that had all these Beatles songs. And at the top of all these songs, just the lyrics, were these little boxes that had pictures of the chords used to play those songs. All right, so say this song you needed to play E, D, A minor, whatever. They'd have the little images of the chords at the top. And I went through this whole book and taught myself the chords just from those images before having lessons. But one thing that I didn't realize is that to play guitar, you needed a guitar pick. You know, something, I don't have one in front of me, but, you know, it's a little piece of plastic that you pick the strings with. So I didn't realize that. I was seeing people on TV, you know, playing guitar with their hands in a certain shape, but I couldn't quite make out that they were holding something. So I was playing with the end of my index finger, just playing all the lines like that for a few years until I finally decided to have a few guitar lessons at school. And I had a few lessons with a great teacher over there, but, you know, basic stuff, you know, Smoke on the Water, House of the Rising Sun, things like that. And yeah, just I didn't really have a lot of lessons. You know, I tended to try and do my own thing, which has pros and cons, you know. But I think that approach of being secure with discovering things for yourself, I think really helped me later on when I started to play quote unquote weird music, stuff that maybe you wouldn't get taught, but you have to kind of discover for yourself just through experimenting and messing around and being secure with that.
Well, that amazes me because I played the flute and I did play the piano growing up as well, but you know, right. I took lessons, you know, but the guitar is something that I have never, I mean, I can't even comprehend. I've never attempted to play one, so it always fascinates me to hear a guitarist because I love the guitar.
I love the guitar as well. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate and very lucky to have made it my living, but at the same time, I think the piano is the best instrument in the world. I would love to be able to play the piano and flute as well. I'd love to be able to play the flute. I tried it once, but I just couldn't. I couldn't even get a note. I couldn't. You know, the embouchure, I couldn't do it. But no, the guitar is lovely. I love it, and acoustic guitar especially. Since I got into that, I I realized you could do a lot more with it. You can still drive all the effects of an electric guitar if you want, but you have a hollow box to play with as well, so you can add that percussive element to it that a lot of players are doing now. And I find that, I guess I came from a small town and there weren't a lot of other musicians. I mean, I was in a few bands, but there was not a huge number of musicians. Your band was dictated by who was in your class and who happens to, or who was in your school and who happens to own a bass guitar or something, you know. So I liked that I could try and replicate a lot of those instruments just on a single instrument alone, I guess, with that kind of self-discovery thing. And,
yeah. Is that how you moved into the acoustic guitar? Because you started with the electric. Is that? Yeah,
I mean, my godparents actually used to work with, maybe, in fact, I believe still do, work with a great French guitar player named Pierre Boulez. Oh, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. It's the English curse. But my godfather designs his album covers and, excuse me, and guitar tab books, guitar notation books. So when I was younger, I was, you know, into Guns N' Roses and, you know, all these bands and that teenage rock stuff. I was maybe being exposed to these notation books of these pieces of music through my family, and I would take one look at this stuff and think, there's no way one person can play this. There's more black than white on the paper. You know, it's crazy. But I really fell in love with the sound. So once I reached 17 years old, and I realized my hands were big enough to make some of these stretches, I decided to learn one or two of Pierre's pieces, and I just totally fell in love with it, and that was it. I was a convert. I just ditched the electric, bought the acoustic, and yeah, I've been down that road ever since.
Yeah, well, I listened to him, Pierre. I went to YouTube and listened to him, and so you've turned me on to another great guitarist. Oh, yeah, I really like him.
Everybody should really look up Pierre. He's the master. He's amazing. I hope to one day shake his hand.
Yeah, I was wondering because you referred to him as like your guitar hero. Now, have you ever gotten to meet him? Because I think he's still alive.
Yeah, he's very much alive. He's a guitar genius. He's doing very well. Yeah, I have a lot of guitar heroes actually, but yeah, I played with him once. I opened for him back in 2009, though, a long time ago when I was just starting out and just as a kind of local support gig. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was just really nervous. That's all I remember. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. Even though I don't profess to sound anything like Pierre, he's a genius. I do what I do, and he does infinitely better stuff, I swear. So please do check out his stuff. But I think it's very important to share your influences. You know, I could sit here all day and say, you know, I did this and I did this and I did this, blah blah blah. But it's none of this stuff. We wouldn't be here at all. I wouldn't have this job if it wasn't for people like Pierre, these amazing guitar players, many of whom are not so well known to the new generation of sort of YouTubers, you know, the kids that are discovering things on YouTube. You know, a lot of their music unfortunately gets buried by sort of sensationalist stuff. You know, you wouldn't believe what happens next. This guitarist does a backflip whilst playing a Seaboard guitar solo. And a lot of the guys that are the real geniuses get overlooked. So yeah, please do look up Pierre's music, and lots of other players as well that everyone should check out for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any other mentors that you regularly follow to constantly inspire you, keep you moving and forward? Absolutely.
Well, one guy I have to mention is a guy called Petteri Sariola from Finland. Petteri, Petteri, Sariola, Sariola. Among a whole bunch of players in this scene of people doing weird things with their guitars, Petteri and I have toured together maybe 5 or 6 times now in Finland and in the UK and in Germany a lot. In fact, I was on Skype call with him this morning, and I'm going to start a project with him in his studio in Helsinki in a couple of weeks. But he does things with the guitar that no one really understands. No guitar players can emulate this guy. You know, He has the most unique sound out of any player I've ever known, and a unique stage presence, and he sings as well. He's got a great voice.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he is very known within Finland, and he is known outside of Finland as well, of course. But at any opportunity, I just want to turn people onto his music, because he's not just an incredibly inspiring musician, but a wonderful guy as well, and a good friend. And yeah, so that's another guy that a lot of your listeners would definitely enjoy. He has this kind of pop sensibility, and it's very accessible music for even non-guitar fans, you know. So please do check him out for sure.
Yeah. Now, do you sing at all?
Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I coughed really loudly. Then I've got a little bit of the post-US tour lurgy. So apologies.
God.
That's all right. Sorry, go on.
Do you sing at all? I'm just assuming you don't, because I haven't heard you sing.
I sing in the car and in the shower.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
no, I want to hear you sing. Before I play guitar.
Okay. Well, now you have a very unique style, and you've been praised by some really great musicians. And I know one of them was James Valentine, I believe, the lead guitarist for Maroon 5.
Yeah, James.
Is that where you got the name for your CD? But by what he said, what did he say? What the hell happened, or what?
There's a quote floating around the internet somewhere. No, this was way after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah, no. James is a wicked guy. Basically, I think. Well, I make apps. A lot of people ask to learn the songs that I write and learn the style. And so what I did is I met up with an app developer, Leafcutter Studios over here in the UK, and we developed these apps for iPhone, iPad, iMac that teach it with multiple camera angles. You know, you can slow it down. There's music written out in there. They're really cool packages, and people seem to really enjoy them. We've done 3 so far, and we're going to definitely do some more. And a friend of mine was out there songwriting in LA, I believe with James, and he sent me a message saying, "Hey, this guy James has your app," you know. So it's a small world. He was learning one of my songs or something, I presume. And
Wow.
it just happened to be that I was on a tour and I was heading to LA, so we met up in LA and had a little jam. Played some Maroon 5 songs. It was a lot of fun. Lovely guy, really nice guy, great band as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's awesome. But you have such a unique style, and I was wondering if you could tell that little story about, I think, when your mother dropped your guitar, because
you know so much about me. It's all out there on the internet. Yeah.
If you need to leave, I'll just take over from here. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, it was a good story, because you were talking about how you started looking at the guitar different, and I thought that was a good story to share.
So basically, in addition to this Pierre Boulez influence and discovering his music, I think a little prior to this, I was playing the electric guitar, and yeah, my mum put it on the guitar stand, but it fell straight off, and the headstock snapped off, and it was being glued. The headstock was being glued back on, so we had it on the dining room table. You know, I was about 16, 17, and whilst it was lying on the dining room table, I started looking at the guitar as you know, all I wanted to do was play guitar, but I couldn't. You know, I was playing 8, 9 hours a day, and suddenly I had the guitar. So I was standing next to the guitar, looking at it. And I noticed that when you look at the guitar from above, it changes your perspective. Instead of seeing, you know, lots of frets and boxes and shapes, you see 6 pianos. You know, each string is a piano. It's a keyboard. It's a chromatic, you know, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. You know, every note going up. 6 of them for the 6 strings. So what I did was I tuned to a tuning called DADGAD, D-A-D-G-A-D, which is different from standard tuning. 3 of the strings you drop down a couple of notes, drop down the tone. And this was a tuning I discovered through reading those Pierre Boulez books, because that's the tuning that Pierre plays in for the most part. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when I put the guitar in this tuning, I realized that with one hand, I could apply the knowledge I had as a kid from playing the keyboard and play these very simple major and minor chords. I could get the root, the 5th, and the 3rd, or the root, the 5th, and the flat 3rd in one hand. And the other hand, I could play the melody, just like you would when I was back at school learning very fundamental 2-hand keyboard techniques, right?
Right.
So what I ended up doing was writing music, playing the guitar actually completely flat, just pressing down the notes, fretting the notes hard enough for it to generate a noise without actually picking the string as well. So in that process, I ended up writing a few songs, sort of karate chopping the guitar a little bit. And I played it to a friend, my old drummer, and he just said, "Hey, we're going to an open mic night tonight. You should come along and play that song." And I did, and people enjoyed it. And I spent the next year just going to random pubs on the bus as a 16, 17-year-old with, at the time, still an electric guitar because I couldn't afford an acoustic guitar. I was saving up. And I was selling my little homemade demo CDs, which are now thankfully out of print because they're terrible. But people really enjoyed them at the time, and selling them for sort of £3, you know, a few bucks. And I saved up enough money and transitioned to the acoustic guitar shortly after that. So that's kind of how it all happened. Thanks, Mum, for dropping my guitar.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a really neat story. How you looked at it like a piano, so to speak. But
I would just say there's a great player from Montreal, currently living in Montreal, named Eric Mongraal. Again, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. Eric, E-R-I-K, and the English way would be to say Mongraal, which is M-O-N-G-R-A-I-N.
Okay.
And he's a good friend. We had a lot of fun in Montreal when I was on tour there a couple of years ago. I mean, he has a very famous viral video of him playing just like this on a French talent show. So if you want to see what I'm talking about when I say hitting the guitar from above without actually picking the strings, type in his name into YouTube, and he has some really good examples of that kind of technique. And he's known for it, even though what I feel he does best is just mind-blowing composition, whichever way he plays his guitar. He's a wonderful guitar player as well, so another one to add to the list.
Yeah, I will, and I'll transcribe some of this video. Most of it I'll just have the replay in the blog. But yeah, that's yeah, I'll check him out too. But did you teach yourself all the because when I watch you on the videos, you're moving her up and down that guitar so much. Like in the beginning of that Scarlet video.
Oh, the new one, yeah.
Yeah, you start out, you're almost like brushing the strings with the palm of your hand is what I call it, because I'm not a guitarist.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. I mean, there's that particular intro is I'm just trying to emulate the sound that the original has, which is a sort of fade in, a sort of wah 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 kind of crescendo with no attack. And that's the thing. I think I try and approach the guitar from a different angle, really just looking at it as wood and wire, you know, and if you want to achieve a sound, you know, you've just got to step back, think about it. How can I achieve this sound, you know, and how can I manipulate this wooden box and these 6 metal strings and whatever other things we have attached to it to create that? And that's just one example of a solution to a problem. The problem being the sound, you know, how can I get this sound? So that's the thought process. And that, yes, there is a lot of flying around the guitar neck like this, but that's always a means to a musical end. You know, it's important to distinguish the difference. I know there are a lot of players that do fly around the guitar doing a lot of guitar pyrotechnics, but I'm really trying to do that to express, if I'm doing that, it's to express a certain melodic choice or harmonic choice or something like that. And I think that's very important, and that's what I think separates the great players like Michael Hedges, who really pioneered this style of playing on a steel string guitar, from others. Really, I mean, if you are writing, there's composing music and then there's playing guitar, and playing guitar should be a medium, getting the sounds in your head or in your heart out to the listener's ear. It shouldn't be a fireworks display by itself, I think.
Right. No, and you're great at it. That's what I enjoy watching.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you.
I love all the sounds. That's what it fascinated me, and that was one of the videos. And then there was another one that I really enjoyed. Well, I've enjoyed all of them, but there was one, somebody
that I used to know?
Yes, somebody that I used to know. That was another great video that I enjoyed.
Thank you. Yeah, the internet seemed to like that one. It has a lot of views.
Yeah, was that the one? There's one that has like almost 4 million now.
Yeah, there's a few like that. Yeah, but that video, when I released that, that was my first release, and it went viral. And actually, the guy that wrote that song, we've become very good friends because of that. It's amazing how you never know who is seeing your music, you know, through the internet. And I've made lifelong friends through just people discovering my music and getting in touch, and then we just get on. And now when I tour all over the world, you know, I have friends in a lot of these cities because of this. You know, it's a really, really cool thing.
Yeah. Oh, I think that would be the cool thing about what you do. Now, to me, I mean, all the people that you're getting to meet and touch base with, there was something that I read when you started playing acoustic, you started performing like 4 years. And during that 4 years was when you actually developed your style. How do you describe your style?
The style, right? Okay, well, I just play guitar. That's all I really know. But the style that I am, if you were to go into a record store and find this, well, you wouldn't because record stores don't really exist anymore. But if you were to Google search the style, the parent genre would be fingerstyle guitar. Fingerstyle, squished into one word, meaning, I guess, loosely players that instead of using that guitar pick, using their fingers instead. Traditionally, fingerstyle refers to people playing steel string acoustic guitars like this one back here with fingernails. You see I have thumbnails and fingernails on this hand, not on this hand. This hand just a pick. But then, Jeff Beck could be fingerstyle. I mean, Mark Knopfler could be fingerstyle because he's using his fingers. But then the subgenre from that would be modern fingerstyle or percussive fingerstyle guitar. Again, these are just terms that have been created colloquially. I, along with other players, make use of extended techniques such as tapping and artificial harmonics, and sometimes using the body of the guitar to create drum sounds, and hence that's the percussive element. So percussive fingerstyle guitar or percussive acoustic guitar is a very commonly used search term. And there's a small scene of us, but it's growing, and it's like a family, a dysfunctional global family.
Well, I love it. I love your. I enjoy watching you, and I don't remember which video. You had some humor in there, and it was really a lot of fun to watch. But it was a lot.
I have the goofy English thing going on, which I seem to enjoy. Except in China, that was tough because no one really speaks English, so I was dropping these zingers, and they just it's pretty funny. Hopefully, the main part of the talking. So.
Well, how did you wind up with Justin Hayward, and how's that been for you?
Yeah, well, that's amazing. I mean, Justin is the best boss ever, really. And I'm not saying that in any way other than the honest truth. It's one day I just got an email from a guy called Justin Hayward, and he asked me if I wanted to meet up and be interested in a new project he was putting together. And I emailed back saying, "Ha." Just that's it. Just ha. I'd just woken up and I checked my phone and I was half asleep, just like, ha, yeah, whatever, mate. And then emailed back again, being like, yeah, no, I'm serious. And I was like, oh. So I Googled and I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy. And it happened to be that I was about 45 minutes away from his family home, I believe, in near London. And we met up. I'd come up with some parts to some of his tunes, and we jammed. And he asked me to play some of my own music, so I shared a few of those songs. And he sort of said, "By the way, I didn't tell you, but this is an audition. But I'm going to cancel all the other appointments," because he wanted to invite me on board, which is very humbling. But I believe he actually found about me through. It's a very interesting story how he actually found out about me, because this was just after a time where I had a viral video, and I had a growing online presence, so I was assuming he was just one of the people that stumbled across this video. But it actually turned out that back in 2009, I played a gig in Bath as the opening act for a guy called Seth Lakeman, a great folk artist from over here in the south of England. And it was the biggest gig I'd ever done. It was like 800 people, and I was a student. All my teachers were there, my family were there. I was really nervous. And I was the first of two supports. And everything went wrong. I broke a nail in the first song, the fire alarm went off, the monitors were feeding back, the tour manager for Seth came on and said, "You have to cut a song." And I was just like, I came off stage shaking, just like, I can't believe how embarrassed I am and how bad this was. It was the worst thing ever, and my teachers were there, and I was trying to prove to them that this guitar thing was kind of, people enjoyed it. And the audience would just start talking to the songs, and it was terrible. But fast forward to the Justin thing, I asked him how he found out about me, and he said I was recommended to him by a friend of his, and I won't name the name, but she was the second person. She was the other support act that night. Right, I was the first support act, she was the second support act, and then there was Seth, and that's the only time I've ever met this person. I didn't even speak to her, just other than hello, nice to meet you. We've never stayed in touch or anything, and I guess something about that night just stuck in her mind, and she just said 4 years later, hey, I remember a guitarist who does some cool things on an acoustic guitar, check him out, or whatever. So I say this at workshops to kids, you know, because a lot of people are after that instant viral video or whatever, you know, you wouldn't believe what happened next, clickbait nonsense. But really what gets you the gigs is getting out there, you know, getting out there and play. It doesn't matter if you're playing in front of one man and his dog, you never know who that man's going to be, you know. Really the best opportunity of my life, being able to join essentially the Moody Blues on tour through wonderful venues on a big tour bus, staying at wonderful hotels all across the States and the UK. I got this because I played the worst gig of my life. You know, this is essentially what it comes down to, which is insane. Like, really thinking about it, it's totally mind-blowing. So if anyone is a musician who is watching this or listening to this, please don't be discouraged by a bad gig, you know, because you never know what will happen because of it. And yeah, keep on gigging, man. Get out there and play those shows.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes things happen like that when we least expect them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's like you said, it's not always when we're doing our best. So that's a great story. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, it's all these are true stories. I have quite a lot of weird stories that just are true. It's like a movie. You can run a movie about this stuff, you know.
Well, what would you say is the most exciting part about your career that just gets you leaping out of the bed in the morning? If that's.
I do not leap out of bed in the morning. That is not something that I do.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, the most exciting part. I mean, I love what I do. I have a great. It's not even a job. I wouldn't ever say I've ever worked a day in my life. I mean, I used to teach guitar, but I still do teach guitar. You know, on tour, I have people come to the hotel or the tour bus, and we still do little guitar things, and I do these apps and things like that. I also occasionally teach on Skype as well. So if someone wants to learn one of my songs, they can get in contact and we can go over it. You know. I love that. I still don't consider that work. I've always wanted to travel, and I've always wanted to meet people from all over the world, and that's what I've been able to do through music. I played on the Great Wall of China with a fan who came out, who got a train from the other side of China, and he said that he had just learnt one of my songs by ear, and he brought his guitar. I brought a guitar. We went to the Great Wall of China, met there, and he just played the song perfectly. It was amazing, and we played it together, and then as a little crowd gathered, it was an amazing moment. And I played the world's first modern fingerstyle gig in Lebanon, Beirut, for a lot of refugees and aid workers. It's wonderful theatre, and that was wild. That was like a sold-out show, and yeah, just crazy stuff. Really, just bizarre gigs. You know, the Troubadour in LA, the Blue Note in New York, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Stonehenge. You know. Really weird stuff.
Your bio is amazing. You have gotten to do some amazing things. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been, this has only been over 3 years. You know, I've really hammered the road. I mean, I don't really have much of a home social life anymore because I just travel so much. I mean, when I just did a 2-month and 1 week tour of North America, landed at Heathrow Airport, and instead of going home, I went to see a friend's band play in London, and then one thing led to another. I ended up on their tour bus and woke up in the Netherlands. And you know, because I love to travel, I don't mind getting a train from Tilburg to Amsterdam at 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting in Schiphol Airport for 6 hours by myself, waiting to catch another flight, because it's just interesting. It's exciting. It's not normal, and it's not a thing that a lot of people get to do, and you know. Yeah, and so I'm back in the UK for a couple of weeks now, and then it all starts again at the end of March, flying away.
Wow. Well, what would you say is your least favorite thing about your career?
The jet lag. Hands down. Really, I mean, well, okay, so road wear, fatigue.
Yeah.
On this last tour I did, I mean, the scheduling was brutal for some of the shows. Like, we'd be doing like 9-hour drive straight to a sound check, do a show, you know, wake up at 3:30 a.m. the next morning, check out the hotel, drive an hour, take 2 flights, land, do a workshop in the afternoon, do a show, repeat for 2 months, you know. And I think for me, what I really like traveling. That keeps my adrenaline up. You know, when we got to Las Vegas, I jumped out of an airplane. I did skydiving. You know, I got that adrenaline boost.
Wow.
And seeing things gives me that adrenaline. So
Yeah.
when I'm in a new town and I go out and meet people or see the sights, that gives me this adrenaline boost. But when you're on a tour where the schedule is such that you're always traveling and you only really see the alleyway behind the venue, you lose that adrenaline, and that's actually when you get sick as well. So I got quite poorly at the end of the last tour, and then that's no fun. Being ill on the road is no fun. That's definitely the worst part.
Yeah, I would think so. But do you miss being having the time to have a social life, or?
Well, yes. You know, but when I'm home, I definitely do my catching up. So
Yeah.
you know, the day after tomorrow, I'm going down to London to catch up with my friends. But I mean, my social life is on the road now. I mean, I mentioned earlier, I have met people all over the world, and they become close friends without the legwork almost. I think when you have road friends, there's like this special bond there. And, you know, it's a little different from having friends that you've grown up with through circumstance than being at the same school, living in the same town, something like that. You know? When you have friends who you've only met a couple of times in various parts of the world, you have this special kind of understanding and this connection of personalities, and so that's fine. I mean, it doesn't get lonely on the road because there's lots of people to say hi to along the way, for sure.
No, I think so. I agree. Plus, they don't have time to get to know you, and they don't have time to figure out what they don't like about you.
Exactly. That's the main thing. There's not enough time for you to get on their nerves.
That's right.
That's
okay.
true.
Well, there's a lot of guitarists out there trying to make it, you know, in the world of music. What would you say, and you sort of answered this a little while ago, but I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate, separates or defines a great guitarist from just a good guitarist?
I think it's all about finding the difference between communicating something in here and something in here. I mean, the tunes that I've written that people respond to the best, be it live or even online, are the songs that come from somewhere real and have a real meaning behind them. You know, music is a form of communication. You know, it's not a form of, hey, look at me, I'm a show off. You know, it shouldn't be a narcissistic device. It's about communication, and as long as you're communicating something, and obviously you're practiced enough to have the muscle memory to communicate that, then I think that's what separates the music that stands the test of time, I should say. You know, the music that connects with people more is always comes from somewhere real, and I think technique or physical finger technique is secondary to that. That's the first thing I think that's important.
Right. I agree, because music is an art, and it's just like photography's an art, music's an art, and then you have artists.
Sure.
I think it's all a form of communication, and I think you have to.
I think that you have to remember that, of course. I mean, yeah, it's you're speaking something, you're telling a story, and yeah, it just happens to be that guitar is the thing that I've chosen to do that with. You know, could have been flute.
Yeah.
It would sound terrible.
Well, what would be your most honest advice that you would give to someone, if there's someone listening today or watching the replay who wants to become a really successful guitarist?
Don't make that your goal. Don't look for success. Don't say, I want to be a famous guitarist, or I want to, you know, I've never, and I know this is true from a lot of the friends of mine who are players, don't go out seeking adoration or seeking success. You know, you're expressing something. You know, you are playing for you. The audience is secondary. You know, the listeners are secondary. If you are not playing to communicate something to yourself first, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. And you've got to have that honesty, and you've got to be obsessed with your craft on a level that's purely personal before you're going to get anywhere with it, I think. I mean, there are people out there that go looking for success, find it great, it works for them, but I think you've got to have that foundation of really wanting it for yourself, and you shouldn't make looking for success your goal. It should be improving yourself and communicating to yourself and getting better for yourself. That should be the reason that you're doing it, and that, I think, will lead to opportunities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you sort of answered this. I was going to ask you, how would you, because everybody has their own definition of what success is, and I know that, and I'm aware of that, but how would you define success? What does it mean to you, I guess?
Well, for me, my goal has always been to just make a living doing music. Secondary to being able to be happy communicating with, to myself and to other people, as I just said. But in terms of, making something a career, if you want to look at it that way, then it's just, I'm making ends meet, playing guitar. That's it. Anything else is a bonus. And also the opportunity to travel. Success for me, in one sense, means seeing as much of the little blue dot as possible. I've hit almost 40 countries so far with this, and hopefully I'll be able to get around and have more experiences, because I think I value experiences very highly, maybe more so than financial stuff, and I think that's very important. And I'm searching for something, and I don't know what it is yet, but traveling gives me the opportunity to do that.
Exactly. Well, that's great. Well, you can, you're doing something you're passionate about, and it's so obvious when you play, and even when you talk about it, just when you talk today. But with social media and the internet, I just think anybody living today we have so many infinite possibilities that we didn't have years ago before the internet, especially with social media. But yet there's also a lot of noise out there. And so what have you found that is the best way to utilize social media? What works best for you, and how would you recommend other people using it? Or
own a cat and film it.
Is do what?
Own a cat and film it.
Own a cat.
It's a messed up world in that respect. In that emotional output and real stuff is sacrificed unintentionally and intentionally now in favor of just crap. I mean, that's always been the case in so many different industries, and it's easy for someone to say, oh, back in the day, this was better, we didn't do this. I mean, back in the day when people started reading newspapers on the subway, that was, crazy. Why did you look at people? Why didn't you communicate?
Yeah.
But with social media now, all I see is clickbait. Clickbait meaning, some sensationalist tabloid headline to get you to click on a link, which will take you to a third-party website to pummel you with adverts. And a lot of the content is stolen. I know this was a lot of, my content's been stolen, lots of my friends' content's been stolen. You wouldn't believe what this guitarist did with, 32 seconds will blow your mind, you know what I'm talking about. And it makes it very hard to stand out unless you conform to this, which is something that so far I've refused to do. I mean, I've had a few pop song covers, but that was because I had an emotional connection to a song. I'm not going out fishing for views or fishing for hits. My most recent cover song is a cover of a Maryland-based mid-level technical metal band. It's not like it's not going to bring in the hits, bring in the views. But there are people out there that make their living doing that, and they do a lot of it. But I could rant for hours about this stuff, and I know there are a lot of musicians out there that feel the same way, but I think it'll come around. I think for every culture, there's a counterculture, and the culture right now is clickbait and sensationalism, and maybe in a few years' time, people's attention spans will grow, and they'll be on the internet, be on a website for longer than 3 seconds, and they'll watch a video for longer than 2 seconds. But until that point, it's hard to have faith in your audience, or your younger audience. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to grab their attention like that. You know, and if you're going to grab their attention like that, you know, what if your song that you're trying to create doesn't have an explosion in the first few seconds? You know, what if it's not fireworks straight away?
I know.
I have a song called Somewhere Home that's a great example of this. You know, it's live. It makes people cry. You know, like every night. There's, you know, it's a pin drop song. You know, it's a powerful chord progressions. It's a 7-minute kind of very melodic sort of journey from sadness to happiness and up and down, tempo wise as well. But you know, there'll be a video of it with like 20,000 views, and then there'll be a video with 4 million views that's all like this, you know. And there's a reason for that, you know. It's because it holds people's attention, and I don't know. I think I don't know. I can't even remember what the question was. I just had to express that it's a tough time to be a melodic musician trying to communicate something versus trying to impress people. You know, if you're out there trying to impress people, it's fantastic because you can make a 5-second video on Vine or however many seconds it is, and that's an acceptable length of time to be entertained for now. You know?
Yeah.
All the power to you if that's what you want to do.
Well, I think you're right. I think it is. Everything's very flighty right now, and I hope it'll get back to where things settle and people.
I don't think it will. I think if you've ever seen the movie WALL-E, the Pixar movie WALL-E, the end of WALL-E is where we're headed.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, I can't explain it better than that, but anyone who knows the movie will know what I'm talking about.
I'll have to watch that. I might be afraid to, though.
No, it's Pixar. Come on, like it's not going to shock you too much. It's you know, it's a universally loved franchise.
Well, what was the inspiration behind? And this is kind of a hard question. I wasn't sure how to word it, but what just happened, as well as the title. I guess what I'm saying is, when you write the music, are you fooling around on the guitar and then a tune sort of just happens, or do you hear a melody in your head and then start writing, or?
It varies quite massively. But when I was asked about this at a workshop I did yesterday, actually.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you'll just noodle around and something will catch your ear, and that's like a spark. And then when that happens, you've got to just shut yourself away, follow it, and you ride it until it takes you where it wants to go. Other times, if I'm just going to sit down and say, I want to come up with a tune, I'll start with 2 elements, melody and harmony. I'll come up with the melody first, and then provide it with some sort of bass line to give it some sort of tonal context. And that forms the basis of the song. Then everything else is just extra. Everything else is arrangement, filling out the chords, providing additional harmonies, enhancing the bass line, adding percussion. That's all extra stuff. And the end result is something that you see in the songs. You see on the videos, you hear in the songs. That's, you know, Z. But starting at A, it's just finding that initial tune. And that can be discovered through something that pops into your head just walking down the road, or something you tap out on a keyboard, or something you play as a single line on a guitar. It starts with the melody a lot of the time, and then the song gets built from that theme. But again, sometimes you just feel fooling around and stuff just happens. Can't explain it.
Yeah. Do you typically do a lot of it on the keyboard before you move to the guitar? Or?
A few times, but now I'm doing that more so. In fact, I have a meeting with a company in a couple of days' time who have developed a really interesting product called the Seaboard, which is a keyboard that you can manipulate almost like a stringed instrument, in that you can you can play with vibrato through manipulating your finger. You can enhance the velocity. You can slide up and down. You can glide around. And the way I see it is it's that wonderful keyboard interface that I was talking about, but approaching it from a guitarist's mindset. And I'm interested to fool around with one of those and see if it spawns any ideas, because I think it's going to be an exciting new toy to play with.
Oh yeah, you'll need to make a video with it or something, show it on YouTube or something. Absolutely. On Facebook. Yeah.
Well, check it out. I mean, just Google it. Great company, a startup company in London called Roli, R-O-L-I. And the instrument's called a Seaboard. It's mind-blowing stuff.
Okay, cool. I will. That sounds really cool. I just have a couple more questions and I'll let you go.
That's all right. Yeah, I've got like 10 more minutes or so.
Okay. I wanted to know if you had plans for another a solo CD in the near future. Or...
Of course, yeah. I'm working on it right now. I've got about 2/3 of it under the belt.
Oh.
But you know, I tend to. I find it very hard to write on the road, and I tour a lot. So the writing sessions for it are staggered, but the tracks I've got so far I'm so excited about. There's definitely an evolution from what just happened. I don't know what the album will be called yet. I'm shooting for a late 2016 release, but it may be very early 2017. I don't want to commit to it.
Yeah.
But I also have a live album coming out, which is right here on this USB stick.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to release that yet. I want to gather some more material. That's some concert audio that was recorded on 4 songs from a Justin Hayward show when I opened for him in Clearwater, Florida. A couple of tunes from a headline I did at the Iridium in New York, just off Broadway. On Broadway, just off Times Square. And then some other tunes from a session I did in Missouri and some other live miscellaneous fun items as well. But I'll be releasing my studio album before that. So, and then I'll be doing a DVD and all sorts of other things after that, and some new apps. Again, if you're interested in these apps, just type in Mike Dawes into the App Store, on your phone, and lots of preview videos and footage. And if you're interested in learning about this style, that's a fun place to start, I guess. There's an app that takes you through it from the ground up. So. Any guitar players out there with iPhones? Check it out.
Yeah, I'll have all those links in my article about you with the replay of this. I wanted you to explain the artwork on this, because I just love the artwork.
That's an impressive board you've made back there.
You like it?
Very fancy.
Yeah, I love your CD cover on what's just happened.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the artwork is a concept I came up with. And when I sort of emailed a lot of graphic designers about it, and this woman, Elena, I believe she's from Italy, living in Germany, was the only one that responded thinking I was serious. A lot of people expressed interest in designing this album, but she was the only one that kind of thought, oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, a cat frying bacon with its laser eyes, no problem. So I just wanted that kind of fun, cartoony vibe, and there's a meaning behind everything on the image, but it's all a secret, There's a few little musical notes in the background, and that's an extract from one of my tunes, and yeah, it's been a very successful album for me, actually. My first record, it's sold, I'm not sure the exact number, but a lot, especially for a solo guitar recording, and people really enjoy it, and I'm very super grateful for them. And put it out with a fun label called Candy Rat Records over in Wisconsin, and yeah, it's people seem to dig it, especially the Justin Hayward fans. Who are very supportive of that when they come and see my little opening set. In fact, we're going to be going on a tour, well, two tours this year with Justin Hayward, where I open the shows and also play with him. That's in the States in May, June, and in the UK in September.
Oh, where will you be in the States?
In the States, we're going east to west. I can't recall the exact dates right now, but whereabouts are you based?
I'm in North Carolina.
I've been in North Carolina many times.
Oh, good. Okay.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
A few other places I can't recall off the top of my head, but we're not going to the Carolinas this time. But that US tour we're doing, let me tell you, we start in New Hampshire, we do Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, California, all the way up to Oregon. So we're sort of doing the East Coast, then cutting through Oklahoma and Texas, and then coming up the West. But I have like hundreds of dates on my website. I'm doing solo shows in France. But the next ones are France, Germany, Austria, Italy, then the Justin Hayward thing in the States. Then I'm just scrolling through the list now. Then I'm actually going to the Caribbean, to the Dominican Republic. Then I'm going to Austria for a 2-week workshop, which is a lot of fun. Headline in Liverpool, then a UK Justin Hayward tour. Then after that, there's some fun stuff that I haven't announced yet, which will be a few hit and runs at the end of the year. Should be going to South America for the first time, which will be a lot of fun. And well, I am going to South America for the first time too. You heard it here first. Colombia.
Wow.
To Cartagena, which will be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, are you still going to be doing any workshops while you're touring? Or?
Of course, yeah. If anyone's interested, what I do is I open up my days before the shows for a maximum of 1 student per day to actually meet up, come to the hotel or come to the tour bus, and we do an hour's guitar lesson on whatever they like, be it one of my songs or be it anything they want help with. And that's open all the time. Any show, just send me an email, you know, and people can reach me through the contact form on my website, which is mikedawes.com. Yep. Maybe you put that in the description or something.
Yeah. I think
oh wow, little billboard.
Is it showing up?
Yeah, you're a very small little thumbnail. Let me just switch there. Yeah, so it's mikedawes.com or .co.uk. It all
yeah, or yeah, okay.
But yeah, I do that, and I do actual guitar clinics as well. So a really fun one actually for any hardcore acoustic guitar player is a boot camp run by a great guitar player named Thomas Lieb over in Austria. That takes place in July, and it runs for a week. It's 2 weeks, 2 separate weeks. The first week sold out, I think. So the second week is mid-July, and it's Don Ross, another great guitar player, Luca Stricagnoli, a good friend. Lots of great guitar players hanging out, teaching, barbecue, beers, lovely, perfect. Austrian mountains in the summer, brilliant. It's a great hang.
Yeah, that sounds like, and all that's, Mike's got a great website. So just, I know I found a lot of information on there. So
yeah, there's lots there. I mean, Facebook's good as well. You know, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. You know, the links. I mean, maybe we can put the link to the description of the video or something. I'll send.
Yeah, yeah. Send me anything, and then I'll have all the links to your different social media sites.
Oh, thank you.
I'll have all that in my blog with the replay and the article and everything. So
okay.
And I'll make sure I put all that in there too.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, but lots of upcoming tour dates.
Yeah.
Always on tour.
Well, you're a busy man. Well, is there anything you wanted to add, or where would you like to see yourself 5 years from now, or is that too big of a
alive? Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. I don't. I mean, I have these tour dates booked and things. I know where I'll roughly be in the years, but I try and live in the present, which is much to the annoyance of the people around me. I tend to know what I'm doing a couple of days ahead. You know, I'm making my next week plans now. You know, but other than the actual tour dates, which are fixed, obviously. I mean, I just love to travel, to play music. I'm very grateful that people come to see me play. I would hope that they continue to, and I would like that. That's my only wish, really, because nowadays you can lose an audience just by not posting enough videos of cats and memes and stuff, you know. It sucks. I mean, I'm very grateful that a lot of my fans are kind of hardcore and they follow you long term. I would hope that 5 years from now, I would wish that would continue, and essentially that would be the one thing.
Yeah.
To have an audience to play to would be lovely.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I ordered my CD and a T-shirt, so I'm excited. So I'm like, yay!
Excellent.
I did that last night, so I'm excited.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. So, well, I hate to end this today. Don't leave yet, though, Mike. I just I'm just going to wrap it up. I want to
Sure
thank,
thing.
I want to thank you again for joining me today. That's been
Pleasure.
really, I know you're so busy, but I'm excited that you took the time to do this.
Not a problem. It was lots of fun.
Yeah. Is there anything else you need to mention or that we didn't cover?
Just, if you're watching this and you've made it this far through, an hour, through, thank you. If you're interested in hearing my music, just if you're on YouTube right now, just type in Mike Dawes into the search bar, and if you like what you hear, then I hope to see you on Facebook or something like that, where we can hang out and maybe even see you at a show in the future. That's it. Oh no, you're frozen. Hello.